It's Grandma Cheryl, and we're going to read Jack and the Beanstalk out of It Happened One Day. Jack and the Beanstalk. Long ago, in a land far away, there lived a boy named Jack. Jack had no father, and his mother was very poor. One day Jack's mother said, "My boy, we have nothing to eat, and we have no money. I don't know what we are going to do." "Well, mother," said Jack, "our cow will not give milk. Let me take her away and sell her." "Very well," said his mother. "Take the cow and sell her. Get all the money you can for her." So Jack started on his way to town to sell the cow. On the way, Jack met a queer little man. Now, in the olden days, queer meant an odd or an unusual little man. "Good morning, Jack," said the little man. "How are you this fine morning?" "Good morning," said Jack. "How do you know my name?" "I know many things," said the little man. "I know you want to sell your cow. I know you have no money." "You are right," said Jack. "I have no money, so I must get all I can for the cow." "Come here, Jack," said the queer little man, "and see what I have in my hand." He held out a little hand, and in it Jack saw 5 red beans. "Do you see my beans?" said the little man. "They are magic beans. Anyone who has them can have anything he wants. I will give you the beans for your cow." "Oh, no," said Jack. "5 beans for my cow? That is foolish." "But they are magic beans," said the queer little man. "They will give you anything you want." Jack thought this over. "All right," he said at last. "Take the cow and give me my beans." Jack took the beans and went home. "Oh, well, Jack," said his mother, "how much did you get for the cow?" "5 magic beans," said Jack, and he gave her the 5 beans. "What?" said his mother. "Did you sell our cow for 5 beans?" "You silly boy, these beans are good for nothing." Jack's mother was angry. She threw the beans out the window. She gave Jack a box on the ears and said, "Now you will have to go to bed without anything to eat." And he did. They didn't have any food in the whole house. So the mommy had to go to bed without any food too. The next morning, when Jack opened his eyes, things looked very queer. Only a little light from the sun came in at his window. Jack ran down into the garden as fast as he could. A great beanstalk had come up in the night, and it grew over his window and up into the sky. The beanstalk grew so high that Jack could not see the top of it. "That grew from a magic bean," said Jack as he looked up at it. "Where is it going up so high? It looks like a ladder. I'll climb that beanstalk and go up into the sky." Jack started to climb up the great beanstalk. Up, up he went, far up over the housetop and far up over the trees. Up into the blue sky he climbed. At last Jack came to the top of the beanstalk and found himself in another land. A long white road ran over a hill and up another hill. Jack said to himself, "I'll see what is over that hill." He started down the white road. Just then he heard his name called. He looked behind him, and there was a beautiful fairy. "I'm glad you have come," said the beautiful fairy. "Where am I?" asked Jack. "You are in the land of giants," said the fairy. "A great giant lives here. He killed your father and took his money. That is why you and your mother are so poor." "My mother never told me that," said Jack. "You had to grow to be a man before she could tell you," said the fairy. "What shall I do?" asked Jack. "Go to the giant's house," said the beautiful fairy. "You will know what to do when you get there. Do not be afraid. I will help you." So Jack went down the long road, up one hill and down another. At last he came to the giant's house. He knocked, and an old woman came to the door. She was the giant's wife. "May I come in?" said Jack. "I have had nothing to eat. Will you give me some breakfast?" The giant's wife said, "You had better run home before the giant eats you for his breakfast." "I would be nice and fat if I had my breakfast first," said Jack. At that the giant's wife laughed and asked him to come in. She gave him some breakfast. "Eat it and go," she said, "before the giant comes home." Jack began to eat his breakfast. Then Jack heard a great noise. Thump, 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 thump. "That is the giant," said the giant's wife. "Jump into this big pot." Jack jumped into the big pot, and into the house came the giant. He was so big that it was hard for him to get into the house. He had a cow in one hand. Jack looked out and saw him. "Here, wife," said the giant, "cook this cow for my breakfast." The giant's wife cooked the cow, and the giant sat down and ate all of it. "Wife, wife," called the giant, "bring me my bag of gold. I must count my money." The giant liked to count his gold. He liked the sound the gold pieces made. He liked their golden color. At last he took up the pieces of gold and let them run from his hands back into the bag. The great giant put his head down on the table and went to sleep. The giant's wife went to sleep too. Then Jack jumped out of the pot. He was as still as a mouse. His eyes were on the bag of gold. The giant made a great noise when he was asleep. Jack was afraid, but he went right up to the giant and took the bag of gold. In no time at all he had the bag of gold on his back, and he was out of the house. Down the long white road ran Jack as fast as he could go. At the top of a hill Jack looked back to see if the giant was coming. "I am glad that old giant is asleep," Jack said to himself. "He would soon catch me with all this gold on my back." At the top of each hill Jack looked back, but he did not see the giant. Jack ran down the last hill, and there was the top of the beanstalk. How was Jack to climb down with all the gold on his back? He said to himself, "The beanstalk will not carry me and the gold too. I know what I will do. I will throw the gold down." Jack threw the bag of gold down from the sky. The bag opened, and the pieces of gold ran out of the bag. Down the beanstalk they went, one after another. By the time Jack was back in his own garden, his mother had put all the gold into a basket. "Jack, Jack!" she cried. "These gold pieces fell from the sky." Then Jack told his mother how he had climbed the beanstalk and had come to the land of giants. He told her how he had met the beautiful fairy and had run away with the giant's gold. The next morning the beanstalk was gone. Jack and his mother thought that they now had all the gold they wanted. But the gold did not last long. After a time there were only 10 pieces of gold in the basket. Then one day Jack saw that there were but 5 pieces of gold in the basket. He said to himself, "I must go back to the land of giants and get another bag of gold." That night, before he went to bed, Jack put water under the window where the beanstalk once grew. The next morning things again looked queer, for only a little light from the sun came in at the window. Jack knew that he would find another beanstalk in the garden, and there it was, as big as the one before. It grew like a great ladder, far up over the housetop and far up over the trees. Up the great beanstalk Jack climbed up to its very top. Jack looked for the beautiful fairy, but she was not there. All he could see was the long white road that went up one hill and down another. "Well," said Jack, "here I go to the giant's house." It was not long before he came to the giant's house and knocked. The giant's wife was very angry when she saw Jack, and she said, "You took our bag of gold. What did you do with it?" "Give me some breakfast," said Jack, "and I may tell you where it is." So the giant's wife gave Jack his breakfast, but he had just started to eat when he heard that noise again. Thump, 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 thump. It was the giant coming. Jack jumped into the big pot. He looked out and saw the giant. On his back, the giant had two big cows. "Wife, wife," called the giant, "cook these cows for my breakfast." She did, and the giant ate the two cows. Only the bones were left. "Wife, wife," called the giant, "bring me my hen." The giant's wife went away, but soon came back with a little white hen. She put the little white hen on the table. "Lay," said the giant. The little white hen did lay, and there on the table was a golden egg. "Lay again," laughed the giant, and there was another golden egg. Each time the giant said, "Lay," there was another golden egg. At last the giant went to sleep. The giant's wife went to sleep too. "Now is the time," said Jack. He was as still as he could be. He went right up to the giant and took the hen and ran out of the house as fast as he could. But the little white hen did not like this, and she made a big noise. As Jack started down the road, he looked back and saw the giant. "Give me my hen!" called the giant. "Give me my hen! I will catch you and eat you for dinner." But the giant could not catch Jack, and Jack would not let the hen go. When Jack came to the beanstalk, the giant was far behind. Jack climbed down the beanstalk as fast as he could and ran into the house to his mother. When they came out, the beanstalk was gone, and no giant was there. Jack told his mother where he had been and how he had got the hen. "See, mother," said Jack, "the hen lays golden eggs." And he said to the hen, "Lay." And the little hen did lay, and there was a golden egg. "That is a magic hen," said Jack's mother. "We must give it good food and a nice place to sleep." All went well with Jack and his mother for a long, long time. Then one day Jack began to think of the land of the giants. He thought of the beautiful fairy, and he thought of the road that went over the hills to the giant's house. Then he thought of the beans that his mother threw into the garden. "I will put water under the window," said Jack to himself, and that night he did. Jack did not sleep well that night. As soon as morning came he was up. Down into the garden he went, and there was another beanstalk. In no time at all Jack climbed the beanstalk into the land of giants. He came again to the giant's house. Jack saw the giant's wife at work in her garden. He said nothing to her, but went into the house and got into the big pot. It was not long before he heard the giant coming. Thump, 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 thump. Jack was as still as a mouse. Jack looked out and saw the giant. This time the giant had 3 cows on his back. The giant's wife had to cook the 3 cows for his breakfast, and the giant ate all of them. This morning the giant was very angry. "I want the boy who took my bag of gold and my hen. I want him for breakfast too." Jack was afraid, but he said nothing and did nothing. "Wife," called the giant, "bring me my golden harp. It will sing me to sleep." The giant's wife put a beautiful golden harp on the table, and it began to sing. The giant's wife went back into the garden. It was not long before the giant put his head down on the table and went to sleep. Out of the big pot came Jack. He took the golden harp and ran, but the harp called out, "Master! Master!" The great giant came out of the house and ran after Jack. At the top of the hill, Jack heard the giant's puff, puff, puff right behind him. On Jack went, up one hill and down another. Puff, puff, puff! The giant was right behind him. At last Jack came to the beanstalk. Down he went as fast as he could, and down the beanstalk came the giant too. Jack called down to his mother in the garden, "Mother, mother, get the axe!" "Here it is," called his mother. Jack was down in no time. He took the axe and went to work with all his might. Down came the beanstalk, and down came the giant, and that was the end of the giant. Jack and his mother were happy ever after. They had the golden harp to play for them, and they had the magic hen to lay golden eggs for them. Many, many times Jack put water under the window where the beanstalk once grew, but no beanstalk ever came up in the garden again. Jack thought many times of the land of giants and the beautiful fairy, but he never saw them again. The end. Don't forget to hit subscribe.